Okay, good evening. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners. I'm going to call this meeting to order. The time is now 7:01. And can I get a
Second.
thank you? All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Let's all please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a presentation for Amy Paulin, but she has not arrived yet, so we're going to just continue with our agenda, and if and when Ms. Paulin shows up, we will just deviate for a few minutes and make the presentation. So with that being said, the first resolution we have is for the adoption of our minutes from the regular for the last 4 meetings of this year, including the reorganizational meeting. So we all sent copies via email. I'm going to just read off a quick resolution here. That be it resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners, I'm assuming everybody has read them and
Yes.
no issues?
Yes.
Be it resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners approves to adopt the following meeting minutes. January 4th, 2024, the reorg meeting. January 11th, 2024, the regular meeting. January 15th, 2024, a special meeting. And Jan 17th, 2024, another special meeting. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Isa?
I'll call the roll.
Yeah, thanks.
Commissioner Saraffi?
Aye.
Commissioner Lori?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryla?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. And that brings us to Jamie.
Thank you. So we're in the process of wrapping up our 2023 year to get ready for our financial statement audit, which will be conducted by BST, which we anticipate they'll be visiting us in mid-March. So at this point, it seems that for the most part, all of our 2023 bills are in. And so now what we're looking to do is to close out the budget for 2023 by making certain transfers for those accounts that went over budget. And then I can begin preparing trial balances and the records that are necessary for our auditors to begin their process. So in my report tonight, I have a list of recommended budget transfers for year end that will accomplish this. The majority of, there's a lot of small items, so I have a lot of them that we can transfer some from certiorari. And then there's just a few others as what we expected. Emergency equipment we knew was going to be over, hospital as well. So I do have a list here. Do you want me to read them, or are you going to do it with?
On the transfers?
Yeah, the transfers.
I'll do it after you're done.
Okay, great. So, so once we do that, we'll have our records will be complete for 2023, and we can begin the process of working with our auditors. Other things, just to note, we currently have $4 million invested in 4-week Treasury bills through our Treasury Direct account. The interest rates are currently still remaining strong around 5.3%. So we will continue to decrease that amount as necessary until we receive our tax money in May, and then we can go back to investing at the higher levels like we did last year. So for right now, still a good source of interest that was not budgeted for, so something that we may be able to, consider later in the year how we want to allocate those funds. As we know, the earnings from last year, we are planning to allocate towards the latter, which I believe we still anticipate paying for in the first quarter of this year. I mentioned the audit, that we're getting ready to start that process, and then we talked about our property casualty insurance renewal the last time. We have not received a proposal yet from our brokers. We do anticipate to have that by early March, so prior to our next meeting, and we can discuss at that point. However, they did also raise with respect to our PERMA workers' comp renewal. So that plan ends on 6/30/2024, and they're suggesting that this will be the year that we'll probably go out to market again, because we had a 2-year deal with PERMA. That has expired. Not to say that we won't necessarily stay with PERMA, but in order to do this, there is a letter called a reservation of rights that we need to send to PERMA that just says that we are reserving our right to go out to market and potentially not use PERMA for the next renewal year. So that letter had been provided to the board. And I believe there's a resolution tonight that would authorize either the chief or I to sign that letter, so that our brokers can move forward on our behalf to potentially solicit other workers' comp quotes. At this point, we don't know anything about potential anticipated increases or anything. We do know on the property casualty side, they said to estimate about a 30%. So hopefully not the same on workers' comp, but we don't have any information yet.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not too many vendors out there that are interested in
No.
fire department, workers' comp in New York, so it's very limited on how many companies will even bid.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, I believe we're still going to have a pretty good experience rate. So that should help us, but we don't know that yet. But so those are the two motions I have for this evening.
Okay, all good? Actually, you know what, let me take care of those two motions now.
Sure.
Okay, that's okay. So I'm gonna do the first motion, well, we've got three altogether, so I'm gonna do the warrants, PERMA, and then lastly, the transfers. So the first motion for the treasurer is, be it resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners approves to pay the bills and vouchers as presented. The board has been supplied with one set of bills and one credit card bill. Chief Tween has reviewed all prior to the meeting, except certiorari claims and those specifically marked as reviewed by the treasurer. The treasurer has requested the board approve the following. Warrant number 1 dated 2/8/24 for $475,339.63. A credit card bill dated 2/18/24 for $1,584.23, for a total of $476,923.86. Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Ferrari?
Aye.
Commissioner Lori?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranallo?
Aye.
Commissioner Carla?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next is going to be the PERMA Reservation of Rights letter. Be it resolved that the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners authorizes Chief Tween or Treasurer Jamie Hedstrom to sign the Reservation of Rights letter to be sent to PERMA. Can I get a second on that one?
Second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Ferrari?
Aye.
Commissioner Lori?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranallo?
Aye.
Commissioner Carla?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, and lastly is the year-end budget transfers. I'm going to just read these all, it'll take a few minutes, but the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners authorizes our treasurer to make the following transfers. These first are all coming from certiorari 3090.2, going to the following 1110.4 archiving for $18,964.30. 1110.5 outside services for $5,616.06. 1140.5 insurance for $111.12. 3060.2 fuel and electric, $1,725.93. 3125.4 computers, software, internet, $6,084.91. 3145.4 association dues, $745. 3150.4 elections and referendums, $1,337.02. 3410.11 fire chief salary, $893.60. 3410 spot 12 assistant fire chief salary, $3180.80, for a total from the certiorari for $38,658.74. These next few, there's 7 more. So from 3410.13 fire captain's salary to 3410.14 fire lieutenant's salary, $3,184. 3413.12 overtime training to 3115.4 emergency equipment for $18,775.68. 3416.1 terminal leave to 3414.1 EMT training, $5,651.22. 6050.8 physician medical costs to 9020.8 Social Security, $6,123.80. 3413.1 overtime firefighters to 9060.81 hospital, $80,000. 3413.13 overtime sick incentive to 9060.81 hospital, $45,000. 9010.8 New York State retirement to 9060.81 hospital for $75,000. Total transfer is there as 207. Is that 272 for total, Jamie, or just that one section? That's brand, okay. Total of all transfers is 272, 393.44. I'll make a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Petracco?
Aye.
Commissioner Loring?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderline?
Aye.
Commissioner Carter?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thanks, Cecil. Okay, on that note, we said Ms. Paulin has arrived. How are you? So we're gonna,
Yeah, you want to
yeah, we're gonna
make
take
a
quick break.
presentation,
We're
if
gonna
you
make a
could join me
presentation
down below.
this time. Okay.
We're going to go over here.
Yep.
Ms. Paulin, if you could join us over here. Hey, Gary, we going this way? That camera? That one? Okay. You mind taking a picture? Thank you very much for joining us tonight. This is Commissioner Chairman Paul Carlo. Let me get it. I have to get a microphone.
Someday you'll be that chairman. You'll be doing that shit.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief.
Well, I'm going to say a few words first,
I'm
just
sorry,
to
yes.
explain the process,
course.
and then if you want to
Of
make the
course.
presentation. So again, Assemblymember Amy Paulin, thank you so much for joining us tonight. The reason we asked you to come is because you helped us secure a New York State state and municipal facilities grant for $500,000 to help reimburse some of the purchase of a new ladder truck that we received in 2020. We actually started the process with one of our former commissioners, Tom Roche, had contacted your office and spoke to Tim Foley. And he said, oh, these are SAM grants are available for municipalities. So we started the process with Catherine Draper. I believe she retired during COVID. And then we had Melissa Kagan helped us complete the application process with the Dormitory Authority. And basically took 3 years to go through the whole process. But we did receive the money in October, and it was greatly appreciated from the district and the residents and the businesses in town. So thank you very much. And let's see. So I'd like to thank New York State Assembly member Amy Paulin and her staff for securing the $500,000 SAM grant, which the district received in October. I mentioned the 3 people that helped us with her with the process. Your staff members were extremely helpful throughout the process. And again, I mentioned Tom Roche, that he did assist. He's the one that found out that SAM grants were available. So thank you very much for your help and your support.
So on that note, I'd like to read off this plaque. Presented to Amy R. Paulin, New York State Assembly member, in recognition of your outstanding support for the members of the Eastchester Fire District and the residents of Eastchester, Tuckahoe, and Bronxville for over 23 years. Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners appreciate and acknowledge your efforts in securing a New York State and municipal facilities grant to provide capital funding for the purchase of a 2020 Pierce rear mount ladder truck presented by the Board of Fire Commissioners, myself, Brian Keating, Paul Ranalone, Anthony Laurie, and Tony Sarasi, today, February 8th, 2024. So,
All right.
thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's my
And thanks, and thanks for coming down.
Would you like
Oh,
to say
sure.
anything? Or?
Sure, I'll just
Thank
say thank you.
Sure.
It's not often that you get a plaque for helping your community, and so I feel very, very humbled and appreciate the response, and I was also just so pleased to be able to provide such an important, needed equipment for the fire department. So,
Greatly appreciate
yeah,
it.
so it's all good.
And it could be used for your office. You have an office in our
That's
district
true.
up in
Just
the North End, so.
that's true. Well, am I allowed to still say the Lord and Taylor Shopping Center? I don't know.
The shopping center formerly known as.
Formerly known as. That's my office. And yes, it's right here in Eastchester. So God forbid there's a fire. I know the ladder truck will come in handy.
We will be there.
Thank you so
Thank you for
much.
coming down. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Commissioner Paul Ramelow, Commissioner Tony Sarasi.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you again.
Okay. All right, thanks, Chief. And brings us to the Chief's report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good evening. The monthly report for January 24, alarm activity, 357 alarms, fire-related 200 EMS/rescue calls, and we gave mutual aid 2 times, once to the city of Mount Vernon and once to Scarsdale Fire Department. I already read the first one, to thank New York State Assembly member Amy Paulin and her staff for securing the $500,000 SAM grant. Next, Commissioner Ranalone and I attended the 36th annual Martin Luther King Jr. Breakfast, sponsored by the Westchester Community Opportunity Program, WestCOP, at the Reformed Church in Bronxville on Monday, January 15th. It was a wonderful event with interesting speakers and amazing singers. Vehicle and equipment maintenance is being done in-house as much as possible by part-time mechanic Hank Henninger. Hank has advised that he is available to come in a second day every other week, so that should help catch up on the needed apparatus repairs. His report was emailed to the board on February 6th. Tim Dalton submitted his weekly maintenance reports for January. They were emailed to the board on February 6th as well. Tim has been doing a great job working at the Chester Heights Firehouse. He replaced light fixtures, painted the dorm ceiling. He's currently painting the kitchen. He's assembling new furniture and gear lockers, and we're getting closer to reopening the firehouse. Fire prevention and code enforcement activities continue with numerous plan reviews and inspections. The fire prevention reports were emailed to the board on February 5th. Currently, there are 2 members out on long-term absence, and 1 member is assigned to light duty and is working with ESAL on digitizing our fire prevention records. B&B Contracting Group continues the work at the Chester Heights Firehouse. Today, the railings for the new entrance walkway were being welded together. They will then be sent out to get galvanized coating applied. The board has 2 quotes to replace the front door, and the lowest one was for $7,900. If we could vote on that tonight, it would be appreciated. The auction for the surplus utility trailer on Auction International's website has ended, and the winning bid was for $1,225. Auctions International confirms that the bidder has paid in full, and Assistant Chief Yazell will coordinate with the buyer for pickup. I have sent the board several proposals for discussion tonight. One allows me to use the EFD credit card to purchase a powered stair chair for $3,459.97. That is a stair chair that has tracks on the back that will help us bring patients upstairs. So if they're in the basement, we can get them up out of the basement, or if they're in an apartment building and the elevator goes out and they live on the 10th floor, it makes it a lot easier for the guys to get the patients upstairs to their apartment if they have to help out. Our current procurement policy says I can only spend up to $2,000 without board authorization. So since this one is $3,459, I asked the board for authorization to purchase it with a credit card. A second item is to hire an engineer to inspect the Tucko Firehouse fire escape for $1,250. That was emailed to the board. That's supposed to be inspected every 5 years. I don't know when the last time it was inspected. Judging from the paint on it, it was probably about 50 years ago. It does have some rust, and it's definitely going to need to be repainted. But we do want to have a proper inspection. We don't want any liability of it, having something fall off or having any issues. So I request permission to sign the services of the engineer that I provided the board with that quote. Another was provided to the board from Universal Engineering Services. That's our current engineer for the Chester Heights Firehouse. I'd like them to review the design of the new Chester Heights floor to see if it can support Tower Ladder 17. They want $3,600 to do that, and the reason it's an additional cost is the floor was designed for Ladder 16, which is about 12,000 pounds lighter than Tower Ladder 17. The new Ladder 16 is only a single axle in the rear. The Tower Ladder is a tandem axle in the rear, so that's why it's heavier. So we need to know that the floor was designed with enough safety so that, we need an engineer to stamp off that we can put the Tower Ladder in there. So UES wants $3,600 to do that. I would recommend to do it because once the new Tower Ladder comes, we're either going to be parking it outside or we'll get the approval that it can go on the new floor. So I think the $3,600 is worth it. Another one was for social media archiving solutions. We have 3 social media platforms, Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We are supposed to be able to record for foils and other things if we make posts, which is not a problem, we could just print them out, but we also need to record the comments. So Esong and I had a meeting with one company, and they provided a proposal for, I think it was like over $4,000. But Esong has done some research and contacted some people from the state, and there's other options out there that we can use that are much more inexpensive. So we're going to hold off on that. I'm asking the board not to consider that proposal tonight for the social media archiving. Finally asked the board for a response for the town of Pelham. About a month ago, 6 weeks ago, they asked if they could put their ambulance in the Chester Heights Firehouse. But since due to the delays of us not opening it, and also with the new tower ladder coming, and we're going to be putting the old tower ladder in there hopefully, I would recommend to the board that, Esong or myself can write a response that unfortunately we're not going to be able to allow them to store an ambulance in the Chester Heights Firehouse. And my last item is I request to end the meeting with a moment of silence for Matthew McGee. He was the father of firefighter Sean McGee, and Matthew McGee passed away on February 4th this year. So if we could have a moment of silence for Sean McGee's father.
We'll do that, Chief. Okay. All right, we're going to come back to your
Yep.
issues, and let's just, Esong, I think we can have your report now if you're ready to give it.
Yes, very brief here, Commissioner. So for community outreach on our website, all the 2024 documents for meetings have been updated, and with the approval of the minutes, these will be updated now and reflected on the website under documents as well as the agenda center. And as Chief Tweed mentioned, we did go over our options again for the social media records retention. I spoke with New York State Archives, the advisor Maria today, and so there are a few other ways we can approach, of course, anything that takes place on social media platforms. And what I did learn was that it's based on the type of content that's posted rather than, say, if anything is ever posted. So there's a few ways that we can go and look at it, say for like how long we're going to retain something if posted online, or say if there's a duplicate of this information in our own internal records that, ultimately we do have it in retention already. So we learned a few more things today, and as the Chief mentioned, that we probably will revisit for what he received as a proposal from Civic Plus and look at other options for if we move forward with having an automated archiving service.
Okay.
For foils, we received 5 foils in January, and like I mentioned, I met with New York State Archives regarding records today, so I was able to put together kind of a timeline for the LGR-MIS application, and I'm going to relay my updates to the board via email shortly. And I'm just continuing on with prepping records for transfer to Station 3, and continuing on looking at the scanning project that we have one of our members working on at Station 1 for fire prevention. And that's it for my report.
Okay. Thanks, Esong.
Thank you, Esong.
All right, that brings us to other open items, so we'll go back now to the Pelham ambulance. So I think we've discussed this at various times, I think ourselves and with the chief, so I would agree with the chief. I think it's not a good idea to have that firehouse being used operationally at all hours. At first, I thought it was just a matter of storing the vehicle there, but it's not just that, they're gonna be operating out of the firehouse, so virtually impossible to do if we're gonna be there at the same time. And we get a call, they get a call, so I agree with the chief that we should just unfortunately turn them down on this one, and we can do that, we can go from there.
Want to make a motion?
Yeah, I mean, is it, I don't think it needs to be a motion, but if you want, we can have a motion, I make a motion that we do not allow Pelham ambulance to
Yeah, that's
use
fine.
Station 4 firehouse. All in favor?
Aye.
So you'll take care of the letter, chief?
Yeah, I'll coordinate with Isang. I'll send it or she can send it.
Okay, great. All right, next, we're going to do a resolution for the door. Now, we have both proposals. The chief did mention the lowest one was from Master Building. So I'll make a motion that each of the Board of Fire Commissioners authorizes Chief Brian Tween to replace the front door at Chester Heights using the Master Building and Contracting LLC quote for $7,900. I'll make that motion. I just need a second.
Second.
You son?
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Sorati?
Aye.
Commissioner Laurie?
Aye.
Commissioner Manalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlos?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, and the powered stair chair purchase for the chief. 1 second here. So, yes. I'm okay with it. I think everybody else is as well.
Yes.
So I'll make a motion that the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners authorizes Chief Brian Tween to make the purchase for the Climbing Steps Genesis Mobile Stair Lift, battery-powered portable stair lift for $3,459.97 on the EFD, Eastchester Fire District credit card. I'll make a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Sorati?
Aye.
Commissioner Laurie?
Aye.
Commissioner Manalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlos?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, and just a few more things here. One is for the floor on Station 4, the UES proposal for the floor weight capacity. I'll make a motion that each of the Board of Fire Commissioners approves the proposal 2024-002 R1 for $3,600 from UES. Have an engineer confirm the floor can support the current TL17 weight, as this was not part of the original work to design the new floor. Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Sorati?
Aye.
Commissioner Laurie?
Aye.
Commissioner Manalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlos?
Aye. And lastly, thank you, Isan. And lastly, the Station 2 fire escape. Make a motion that the board be resolved that the board of each of the Board of Fire Commissioners approves the proposal number 020224-0119 from Nunzio Pietrasanti Consulting Engineer for a total base fee of $1,250 to conduct the inspection and make recommended repairs and reinspection for the fire escape at Station 2. Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Sorati?
Aye.
Commissioner Laurie?
Aye.
Commissioner Manalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlos?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Just so it's not misunderstood, they're not going to make the repairs. The engineer is going to
Right.
make the recommendation of what repairs are needed.
And then afterwards re-inspect.
Yes, and then re-inspect after the repairs are done.
Okay.
So that's what the
He's gonna
1250.
re-inspect under this course, right?
Yeah. So it includes re-inspection after whatever
Okay.
repairs. Like, I know for sure he's gonna say it needs to be painted, and then there may be some spots that need to be re-welded or something.
all right.
So,
Okay. That brings us to, well, before we go to Local 916, just so everybody knows, our next meeting will be March 14th at the Fire Headquarters, Station 1 on Main Street. Okay, not here. So for those who want to come and attend, it'll be at Station 1 on March 14th at 7 p.m. Okay, that brings us, I'm sorry, Gina, yeah.
Okay, one more thing.
Yeah, sure.
Just one thing, I forgot to bring up during my report. So I know there was, at one of the special meetings, there was another change order that was approved for Station 4. So we're getting to the point where we know that now the project cost is going to exceed the permissive referendum. Right now, it's only by, under $50,000. So whether the board wants to consider amending the permissive referendum, or so that you can continue to use funds from the capital reserve for that project, or do we want to pay the remainder out of the general fund and hold on to the capital funds for, like, potentially
Which is
Bronxville?
better?
I think it's not a huge amount right now, and we know that we're gonna be using that money in the near term for Bronxville. I think it's probably fine to leave the permissive referendum as is and spend the extra, the overage from the general fund, but it's the board's decision.
Okay, do you want it tonight or to next meeting?
You can do it the next meeting, that's fine. I just, I know there's another bill already in from B&B that we're just waiting on Joe Paterno's approval. That wouldn't take it over, but, if you're going to do the permissive referendum, we have to go back out in the newspaper and everything like that, so, the sooner the better, but if you want to wait till March, that's fine.
I'm fine with the general ledger. Everybody okay with using, okay?
Okay. I think you'd only have to vote if you wanted to, revise the permissive referendum. So if you're, just so I wanted to make sure everyone knew, because I
Yeah,
didn't talk about it
we're
earlier.
fine with using the ledger.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay, comments from local 916? Really? Comments from the public? Mr. Vichy?
Good evening. I didn't plan on speaking tonight, but like Ms. Paul, and this just came down from Albany.
So sorry, Commissioners, is it possible members of the public could state their name and address?
Yes,
Sure.
yes, please.
Tom Vichy, President of the Volunteer Officers Association. I have a proclamation that came down from the...
I'm sorry, Tom, I'm sorry, your address, Tom? One more? Just your address.
My address, 28 Maynard Street, Tuckahoe.
Thank you.
10707.
Got it, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The proclamation that came down from the Firefighters Association State of New York is to Anthony J. Laurie Sr. Whereas Anthony J. Laurie Sr. of the Eastchester Fire Department, Tuckahoe Hose Company Number 1, has dedicated 50 years of volunteer fire service in the state of New York. And whereas Anthony J. Laurie Sr. continues to faithfully carry out the duties and is a credit to the entire state of New York volunteer fire service. Whereas members of the Fire Association of the State of New York wish to recognize and honor such outstanding dedication. Therefore, be it resolved, the Firemen's Association of the State of New York extends its thanks and appreciation to Anthony J. Laurie Sr. for 50 years of loyal service to the New York Volunteer Fire Service and their community. Be it further resolved that the membership of this association conveys to Anthony Laurie Sr. its congratulations and best wishes presented this day, the 31st of January, 2024, and is signed by John D'Alessandro, Secretary, Edward Tays Jr., President of FASNY. Congratulations, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Yep, Tom.
You holding on?
Thank you.
I just want to say one other thing, and a lot of people might not know this. A few months after Commissioner Laurie joined in 1973, Paul Ranalone, James Rooney, John Arrigo, and Vinnie Spadaro all joined the Tuckahoe Hose Company. Paul served for many years in that capacity as a career firefighter, retired as lieutenant, took a few weeks off, and ran for fire commissioner. So our hats off to Commissioner Ranalone for serving for 50 years, too.
Thank you, Paul.
It's hard in this day and age to put that much time into an organization for that amount of time. Is just, they ought to be commended like that.
And I still love it. The salary was about a year, right?
Michael, yeah.
Good evening, Mike Parisi, 16 Lockwood Avenue. Anthony, congratulations.
Thank you, Mike.
Engine 4 house, Union Corners, is really looking good. To let the public know, as I, being a citizen and a taxpayer of the town, I stop down there quite often, and I see Commissioner Ranalone as clerk of the works, if you want to call him that, volunteer clerk of the works. And the house is really coming along, and it's looking really well. The crew quarters, the dormitories coming together. The kitchen is really great. The bathrooms, the handicap area, the ramp area, the concrete was bored and the holes were up. I was there today and I saw them putting the fencing up, and they were just
Yeah, measuring and welding.
measuring and
Yeah.
seeing how it's working, and we should be very proud of this. The Board of Fire Commissioners should be
Commended.
just got tongue-tied. The Board of Fire Commissioners should be praised for what they did, and also the chief and the deputy chief of the department and the brave men and women that serve our community. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike.
Good evening, Commissioners, Chief.
Good evening.
Ken Simonides, 144 Anderson Avenue. I have a couple of things. Not sure what firehouse that Mr. Parisi's looking at down there in Chester Heights, but I took a ride by there, and there's a lot of things that concern me in relation to the work that's being done down there, especially the amount of time that it's taken. Who is the engineer of that project?
Universal Engineering Services in, I think it's Harrison?
Armand Harrison, yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of experience does this individual have with remodeling firehouses or commercial buildings?
Well, it's a firm, and they have numerous engineers that have been working on the project. The president of the company, Joe Paterno, is one of the engineers. And for the mechanical services, they hired Pondosa Engineering, I believe it's out of Queens, to do the mechanical. So they're doing the structural engineering, and then they've subcontracted the mechanical engineering for the HVAC and the boilers and stuff.
Okay. The question that I have is that there was a window on the side of the firehouse that was almost in the same area where the sidewalk was level. My personal opinion, you already had an opening there that you guys could have cut a door in, a handicap door with a window, with a panic bar or a push button that would open and close. It would have been right there on the apparatus floor. That's my observation. I also observed that ramp that they made, installed or whatever, it looks like an exit ramp for the Cross County Parkway. It's to me, it's not something that reflects a good planning. It's not. Because you had the sidewalk that was there, all you had to do was cut the thing in, it would have went right into the firehouse. So now you spent money to put a ramp that goes all the way out to the street, but you stopped at a pole, a utility pole. Now I know that the property that extends past it belongs to somebody else. I think you guys should have gotten in touch with that person, that individual, the owner, and said, look, we're putting this ramp in. Would you have a problem with us finishing the sidewalk there? There is a couple openings there, and my personal thing is that if you have an older lady that's pushing her husband in a wheelchair, okay, they go down a ramp, now they're into a broken concrete, and it is broken. If you take a look at around where that pole is, and then they have to transverse over to get into the driveway next door, and then go out into the street. I've also noticed that, I don't know if the town told you guys that you had to put curbing in the front of the ramp. Was that something that you guys were told by the town? That you had to put curbing?
No, I believe that was a design from the engineer.
Okay.
To put the curbing in.
Again, you have the apparatus floor there, like on good weather or whatever else, that the person or persons traversing into the firehouse wouldn't necessarily have to use the ramp. You could open the overhead door, they could have come in through there. But they can't now because that curb puts an obstruction in their way. Because,
That's- The ADA requirement is that the handicap access has to be the same door that everybody else uses. So we couldn't use the garage door to let people in a wheelchair. I mean, you could in practicality, but we would not be complying with the ADA code. So we had to do that ramp to the door, or like you said, make a new door somewhere else.
yeah, well, I think it would have been a lot more prudent for that to have been done. And now, I don't know if that was ever suggested to the engineer?
I mean, we rely on the engineer to come up with the designs, you know, and then we, the board, not we, but the board makes comments on the designs and either approves it or makes suggestions for adjustments or, you
Well,
know, edits.
Was that ever considered by the board?
I mean, I think that design was probably like, at this point, 5 years ago. So it could be like, I don't even know who was on the board at the time.
I don't recall that, but
It was
I mean-
probably, you know,
I mean,
several other
if the engineer is
commissioners.
going to suggest a certain design, you know, who are we to?
Well, but again, it's your guys' property.
Yeah, we understand that, but it's done now, it's over, and the ramp is there, so what's your point, Kenny?
My point is that you guys are wasting money down there by putting a ramp in
It's already done.
that
It's over.
goes in.
Okay, it's done, we're not gonna change it. So we
I
understand
know
what
you're not
saying.
gonna change it, but I want the people to know that that firehouse is an asset of the taxpayers.
We know that, yes.
All right? And what you've guys done, in my opinion, and it's my opinion only, is that you guys have destroyed that firehouse by what you have done.
Destroyed.
Because you could have put the door.
That's wrong to say.
Yes,
board like that.
no, it's not, Mr.
Yes, it
Laurie.
is.
Mr. Laurie, let me ask you a question. How much building experience do you have?
How much do you have?
I don't have any, and I'm not sitting up here claiming to be an expert.
could you say- how could you
I'm
s-
not claiming to be an expert, Mr. Laurie.
I know you're
What
not,
I'm
neither
saying
am
to
I,
you
but
is
how
that
could
you
you say
guys
that
have
firehouse
wasted
is
money.
destroyed?
You guys have destroyed it. You put a ramp in there, it looks like an exit ramp for the cross county. It's very simple.
Just your opinion.
I'm sure that if anybody went over there and saw it the way it was when I saw it, you have this huge thing that you got to now fill in with dirt. You have to put a guardrail up, so to speak, for them to get all the way out there so they don't go out into the, or off the edge. Correct? You're going to do both sides.
The railing's being done, we're having topsoil brought in, yeah.
So the railing on, as you look at the firehouse, the left side of the walkway, the railing is only coming out 12 inches past the building. That was in the original design. They had to make some adjustments for the rest of it. So the first part of the walkway from the door of the firehouse out to about 25 feet is at a 112 pitch, because that's a handicap ramp. After that, it becomes a walkway, which is at a 1 in 20 pitch. So if you notice, the first part of the ramp is much steeper than the part that goes out towards the telephone pole.
Right, and that's-
So there's gonna be a railing on the left side for the handicap ramp, which is required, I guess. And then from the other side, we're gonna have dirt brought up to the level of that. So if you step off, you're gonna be stepping onto the dirt by the flagpole. So there's not gonna be any railing on that side of the walkway.
So now when you're saying that, Brian, you're talking about when you're coming out of the building? It's going
I
to be on
said
the left,
looking
or
at
is
the
it going in?
firehouse.
Is
The
it-
left side is
okay.
gonna have a railing that comes out about 20 to 25 feet on the left side, so on the flagpole side of the
Okay.
walkway. Then after that, it's just gonna be, the dirt is gonna be up at the level, and we're also having additional dirt put down the side of the building because we have drainage issues where the water is pooling towards the building, so they're gonna add 6 inches or 12 inches and then have the dirt pitching away from the firehouse, and hopefully that'll help with some of the water issues.
Now, with this new door that you guys are going to install, are you planning on putting any type of overhang over that door?
Right
Like a
now,
roof?
we're just replacing the door. There's
Okay.
no awning or anything like that. So
Well, wouldn't that be a good consideration?
it's, at this point right now, I mean, there's nothing stopping the board from doing it in the future. I mean, if they desire, they can, you know, we could get some quotes from builders and, you know, and have something put in, whether it's cloth or aluminum or whatever, you know.
Well, I just think that, you know, if this is going to be an ADA compliant door to come in and out, is this new door going to have a push button?
No, it's not gonna be like,
It's
you
not
know,
gonna be an automatic
go in the
opening door?
hospital and you have the handicap button. No, it's not.
That might be another consideration you may consider. I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to add on to the cost of it, but for convenience, you know, for the door to open, and it has to, you know, close at a certain time. It can't be something that as soon as somebody opens it, it pushes close. because you got to allow them, you know, obviously you guys know that you have to have them, time for them to get in and out of the building, so they don't get pushed down by the door.
It has to be an ADA compliant door, so if there is a closure on it, it has to comply with ADA, and will be inspected by the town, and they'll make
Okay.
sure that whatever is installed complies with the building codes for ADA.
Okay. I just think, you know, again, if you guys are, you know, assets of the town, include the firefighters too. You know, and the fire district, the assets include the firefighters. And,
Definitely.
you know, another question that I have for you quick, Brian, is since you became chief in 2017, how many fire department physicals had you sent me on? You know, the fire department physician physical.
Maybe a couple IMEs?
IMEs, I'm talking
Yeah, I
about
don't
the
know.
annual fire department physicals. How many did you send me on?
I don't know.
I can tell you it's 0.
Okay.
And I believe that if we had the fire department physicals, for myself, and I'm speaking only for myself, they do that breath test. They do the pulmonary function test. That's part of, you know, what we've done in the past. When we were volunteers, we had to go to Dr. Athens and Pascal and all those guys, and you had to do the pulmonary function test. I believe personally that if I had gone there, they might have saw trending where my breathing was starting to be a little bit compromised.
Nobody was doing that test during COVID because it is a respiratory illness. So even when I went down for my 9/11 checkups, they stopped doing that test because of during COVID, during 2020 to 2022 or 23.
Okay.
So I don't know that they would have done that. The standard, OSHA requires the fit testing, which we do, and you have to answer the respiratory questionnaire, which we're working on something with the union. There was an issue with who's going to be reading those questionnaires, but we're in the process of working on that. But I'm sure you were fit tested since I've been chief, because that was a normal thing that we did with Dr. Reddy, would review your medical questionnaire. It was like a 7 or 8 page respiratory questionnaire, and all the members do it that wear an air pack, our interior firefighters. We do have one member that's not interior that works in a department that he doesn't need to be interior certified.
Okay, and again, I'm talking about 2017 through 2019. Those 3 years that I was never sent for a fire department physical. And again, I could have seen possibly some trending going down on my pulmonary function. Because when I went for my own doctor and had the pulmonary function test done, he showed that it's supposed to look like a heart, basically. Mine looked more like a kidney bean, because he said that my breathing capacity was starting to become diminished. So I don't know, again, I'm not speaking on behalf of Local 916. They got their own thing, they can do whatever they got to do. I'm talking about for myself only. I just felt that, you know, I was being told that I had to have an investigator come around my house. I was told that all this other stuff was going on. But again, I was actually physically incapacitated for breathing. This was after the fact that I had my rotator cuff surgery. And you know, I was out for most of 2022, if not all of 2022, because of the breathing problem. And I wasn't able to put on an N95 mask, which was required from us when we go to people's houses based on COVID. That was the COVID protocol, that we were supposed to wear an N95 mask, and I couldn't do it. And I've spent quite a few times in the hospital because of it. So I just think that there's a lot of balls being dropped, and tighten it up a little bit. That's all. And I'm not here to be combative with you, Commissioner Laurie. I'm not here to be combative with you. I'm not.
I'm not either.
All right. And congratulations on your
Thank
50
you.
years.
Thank you.
You know,
I'll just say, as I said, we're working with the union. We put an additional $30,000 in this year's budget for medicals. You know, we doubled the the doctor's budget to include the medicals, because.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so we are going to get back on board with that.
That's awesome, because that's very important. And just one more thing is how is the new members? I guess there's 20 plus, maybe, right? Is there 20 new members?
Right.
Congratulations to all of them. Is there an SOP for them or an SOG for them? So they know exactly what's expected of them, or how to give them some type of guidance? Like, say somebody is on the first arriving, I won't say first due, I'll say first arriving piece of equipment, whether it be a truck or an engine. Is there something in place that they can look at, reference, or have some type of, like, in the back of their brain, here's what you got to do, here's what you should be looking for? You know, I know they went through the academy and all that other
Right,
stuff,
yeah, they
but
4.5 months at the academy, and then they're with the lieutenant for their first 3 to 6 months. You know, they have a week of orientation with all the different groups or driver training and stuff. So we do give them training on what to do. No, I don't know of an
I'm not
SOG that's written.
I'm not even insinuating that you're not giving them training. That's not even my insinuation at all. You know, I know that there is a lot of training going on, and it's a good thing.
Yep.
It's a good thing. It's a great thing, actually. But we all know that in the heat of the battle, all of a sudden the holy crap mode kicks in, and you forget, because it's not often that they're doing these types of responses, so to speak. I mean, the fires are great. We don't have that many, thankfully. You know, knock on wood. Congratulations on that. That, you know, the people are not suffering from the loss of a fire. You know, but just something that they should have, you know, that they can look at and say, oh yeah, okay, it would click something that they've learned in the academy. So it might be something that you want to consider.
Okay, thank you for the suggestion.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? No? Commissioner comments?
As was already mentioned, most of the month has been spent at Station 4, as usual, at least 5 days a week. And as has been mentioned several times tonight, we are closer to opening that firehouse. A lot has been done, especially in the last several weeks. Today, Tim Dalton, the maintenance mechanic, finished painting the kitchen. The bathrooms are done. I helped him clean the dormitory out, and the chief met with the
Mechanical engineer, the structural engineer, the contractor, and the assistant chief, Tim,
Today.
Commissioner Ranalone, and myself all had a site visit today to discuss the open items.
Right, the HVAC system and that stuff. So hopefully, I'm being optimistic that within the next couple of weeks, we will be opening that firehouse up.
Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.
I'd just like to say something. I'm sorry Mr. Samadi's left. I was hoping to hear that. You know, when you're renovating these firehouses, they're very old. We all know that. And then these renovations do take time, and there's a lot of paperwork goes through it, and every time something has to be approved, they have to come to a meeting. We have to approve it, or we have a special meeting to get the thing approved. I only wish I had the time Commissioner Ranalone has had spent time down there. But for an individual or any citizen to come up here and say that we're destroying this place, that's a shame. And I don't think any one of us up here, or the chief, or anybody else could come up here and say that we're destroying something. By God, this is our property. It's not Chicago's property, California, or anybody else's property. This is our property. And I'm not going to put this place in jeopardy and go down there and destroy that firehouse or any other firehouse in this nation. Trust me on that. But to say a comment like that, yes, I do take offensive to that. And I'm sure these gentlemen up here didn't like to hear that either. Like I said, these places are old. We weren't here when they were built. When they were built in their day, they served their purpose. The weight of the fire trucks on the floors, the openings of the firehouse doors. If you notice, we've expanded them some. We've expanded Waverly many years ago. to get the new Mac in there from the American LaFrancis that we had. We expanded North End's door when we got the first hook and ladder after we got rid of the tiller. We've done improvements little by little until we had to do general improvements. But to come up here and say, you guys are destroying this place, something like that, I do take offensive to it, and I don't like to hear that. And I hope it's never, things like that aren't said anymore. Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony. Okay, on that note, we're going to go into a brief executive session for about 15, 20 minutes, come back, have a moment of silence, and adjourn for the night. So it's going to be short if you guys want to stick around or be outside. We're going to be back in about 10, 15 minutes. So I'm making a motion that we all go into executive session to discuss a
Second.
personnel matter.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we'll see you in about 10, 15 minutes. Okay, it's 8:17. We are back from executive session, so make a motion to go back into public session. All in favor?
Aye.
And now we're going to adjourn and have a brief moment of silence for Mr. Matthew McGee. Sean's father. So. Okay, that's it. All right, again.